It sounds so racist to say this, but I'm like it's like doing it in our backyard and saying it's Tasmanian. Like, it's just like,
Tasmania is part of Australia, right?
yeah, but they.
Previously on Basement Discourse, we talk about sex in video games and anime. Is that good?
Oh man, so good.
All right, and welcome to, what episode is it? Is it 14? 14? I think it's 14. Yeah, 14. Woo!
Damn.
Welcome, Basement Dwellers. This is Jace or Snack Pack. We've got Brady over there, cringing. And then Justin, the moon, the smooth sphere at the bottom there. He's at the bottom.
Shaved recently, smoother than normal.
How often do you shave that chrome dome?
4 to 5 days I leave it, and then it goes. Yeah.
That's a long wait between shaves, man.
I know. I'm lazy, or else I would do it all the time. Do it in the shower. It's just
every 30 minutes, but can't shave your head.
You got it.
It's literally the mowing the lawn of your body, and
it's a lot of work. I do it in the shower just so I don't have to clean up or anything. It's still like it's the whole thing.
What are we talking about now? What are you doing in the shower that you don't have to clean up?
Everything.
Yeah. That's actually
at once.
Yeah.
Side note:
the old Wenken shave. You never been there before?
Have you guys ever? And I'm not talking about in the shower, but you all ever taken like a shit that you've been really proud of?
Why? Why is that where we went with this show? I mean, and how is that where you went from there?
It just, I don't know, bathrooms. Bathrooms, man.
I can't say I have. Like,
I've never wanted to name it.
Bro, they're the two things you can,
and that is all.
Yeah, right. Proud of the release, but not proud of the effort and the look of it.
No.
The structure.
If it takes effort, I want to know nothing about it. Straight to the orphanage.
Quality.
But yeah, moving away from this quality content, I was going to hand it sort of towards Justin, because I know you've been playing a game that stirred up much controversy in, it was about 2003?
Yeah.
Relevant content today.
Well,
absolutely relevant. Well, still fairly relevant, I think, and still an arguable topic, even to today's kids and standards. So 2003, Manhunt came out, and it was released in Australia for 3 days before being pulled off the shelves. We talked about this last episode. And whilst we talked about it, we were like, damn, we got to get our hands on that game again. So I got onto it, and I think you got onto it too, Jace, yeah?
I sure did.
Brady did not.
I'm busily...
Shut the fuck up, Brady.
Yeah. You haven't even played a violent video game recently.
I know. Sorry. I'm sorry. Was there something you were going to argue that violent video games don't cause? Because I'm sitting over here real polite and nice. I just want to say.
We both played Manhunt. Just shut your face. Or we'll shut it for you with a hammer. So played that. I've put around about 3 or 4 hours into it, which is enough to really progress in that game. I don't feel like it'd probably be more than 10 hours total, unless you were going for like a full 100%er. But the whole premise of the game is that you've just got to kill people, and the more brutal you do it, the better the reward by the end, which was a big controversial thing about this game in particular, because if you kill people, that's okay, and you'll get a 2-star rating. But if you kill them aggressively with brutal moves and change things up, change weapons and do all of the hardcore stuff, then you get like 5 stars. So I don't know if you ever actually get anything better at the end of the game because of it, but I know that the reward is there for completion. So, and Brian Cox is in the background the whole time being like, "Come on, boy, you ain't sitting around. kill someone already.
Oh my god, that voice line. So there's a few things about that game that I had totally forgotten. One of them
The
is
voiceover.
they have like 10 voice lines per gang.
Yeah, dude.
And so much of it is stolen audio assets from GTA 3 and Vice City.
Is it really?
Yeah, like the sound when you pick up one of the like save VHSs is the same
yeah, the
sound
boom.
when you pick up a hidden package.
Yeah, right.
Which
Yeah, of
I
course.
know because I play those GTA games way too much.
Yeah. The hidden package noise is satisfying.
Oh yeah.
And so is the save point in Manhunt, because if you don't find one and you die and then you have to start again from one previous, man, that's fucking infuriating. So
Yeah.
Manhunt is like all about sneak and kill. So you get to a certain point and you haven't got a save point and you stuff it up and everyone gangs up on you and goes to town on you and cleaves you to death. Man, there's nothing worse than having to start that all over again and be more patient than the first time. Because like the more you die in it, you're just like, I'm getting fucking angry. I want to kill this guy.
So funnily enough, one thing I found that I realized you wouldn't experience, Justin, is it's bugged as hell on modern PCs.
Dude, did you get a bunch of them just stand there going?
Yes. Apparently, that is an issue with having high frame rate monitors. So anything above 60 frames can cause it, but there's a whole bunch of other stuff.
Right.
But if you have over 60 frames, it literally bugs all their AI. I was like, wow, this game's way easier than I remember. They all just stand still and I just murder them. But no, it turns out that was a bug.
That's hilarious.
I've since fixed it and it's now considerably harder. The other thing was it doesn't lock the mouse. So if you have more than one screen and you move your mouse too far to the right, it clicks on something on your other screen and minimizes the thing. If you miss an execution and the guy turns around and starts beating you, you've now just minimized your game and you're getting your ass kicked while you
open up
anything.
Google Chrome and you're like,
shit.
Searching for WASD as you try and run away.
So so that was a big issue that I had. But more to the point of what I wanted to talking about Manhunt, is the portrayal of violence in video games and especially how the media portrayed it. Because I remember in 2001, when GTA 3 came out, there was some serious shit that went down because it was considered ultra violent, especially because when you get like sniper rifles, M16s, things like that.
So when was GTA? When was GTA?
3?
Yeah.
2001.
2001, okay.
Easiest way to remember it is because they had to remove the twin towers and the ability to fly a plane properly.
Ah, correct, yes.
And change the color of all the cop cars before it dropped because of all the events.
Yep. Sorry, continue. Yep.
But anyway, so 2001, great game, but big controversy. And I remember getting a review in a magazine because I really wanted GTA 3. And they had a scene where you kill a guy, really notorious to progress through the storyline. And it had the scene where you shoot his head off, and it had a big censored thing across where his head should be. And they were talking about the ultra violence of this video game and stuff like that. And at the time I thought, oh, well, this is actually pretty violent. But actually looking at it these days, the scene that they censored, if you shot the dude in the head, his head, like just the model part of his head just disappears. It doesn't do it, like it doesn't explode or anything.
Yeah,
it disappears and just squirts
blood. Yeah, it's not so brutal. Whereas Manhunt, you shoot someone in the head, and if you aim it right, you can get their brains to splatter on walls, which was only 2 years after that.
So Manhunt definitely stepped it up, but I'm
intentionally.
Oh, of course, it is literally a snuff film of sorts.
Yeah.
And I totally get people's apprehension because there's no, like with GTA games, there's sort of a plot behind it. Like you've just gotten out of prison, you're trying to get away from, the cops and, get revenge on Catalina in GTA 3 after she shot you and left you for dead.
Yeah.
Whereas this is literally you've woken up and a guy is telling you through a camera to go kill dudes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you're like, what? All right. And so I sort of get it from a story perspective that this is a bit of a problem. But looking back on it, some of it really isn't as brutal as I remember. So last episode, we sort of brushed on it because I was like, oh, it's so brutal. Like you stab guys in the face with a shard of glass. Watching that now, I'm like, Like, and that's not a desensitized type thing. It's just there's not a whole lot to see. They intentionally set angles so it's not very visceral. Like you can tell what's happening, but like when the stab to the face happens, you're not seeing it from front on where you're going to see the most fucked up view of it. It's from behind the person. So there is a lot of theater of the mind.
Oh shit.
But
game stops, crosses to Justin. He's like, so you take this piece of glass.
Slowly sinking it into the eyeball.
Crosses back to the game. Person's on the ground bleeding out.
So there is a lot of stuff that's definitely not as brutal as I remember. But you mentioning the brain spraying thing makes me feel like maybe I'm just not far enough to see.
Once the machetes and hammers come out, it gets a little bit more intense.
So I do remember the machete had a really fucked up animation, or I remember
it was pretty full on. Like, so even like from white, yellow, and red, which are the three different like brutal sort of kills inside of the game, even the white one's pretty intense, where he sort of grabs the head and starts to hack until the head is off. And you can then use the head as a decoy thing after that. Yeah. So it attaches to your belt and you walk around with that dude's head. But like each one of them is just a more brutal version of a decapitation. Like,
the one where he like hits him and he's like bent down and then he's just slowly hacking at the back of his neck.
And then you see the full stub of the neck. Like it does get pretty intense. You shoot someone with a shotgun and their face is no longer there. Like they're intentionally holes with nothing left. Like it's pretty brutal. Yeah.
But in saying that as well, as much as that game is quite intense, there has been a lot worse since with such fewer recourse. Like, have you guys ever?
Yeah, but that's. I mean, like, if I don't want to like simplify your argument a heap, but whenever anything new comes out in media, like whenever they decide to step up something on a rating style of stuff or whatever, it gets a shitload of attention. Probably nothing happens. Maybe someone mutters an apology one time. Maybe something gets pulled off a shelf in our country.
I don't think Rockstar ever apologized.
I don't think so.
Well, I mean, Manhunt got banned here, so like, and then world moves on, and it happens 50 more times, and no one gives a fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not new in media. Like, I'm not trying to simplify this. There's still a discussion to be had, but
But
I think the major concerns with violence in video games came a few years prior to. So 99 would have been an iconic year.
That's Columbine, isn't it?
Correct. Which was one of the first, one of the biggest, I think it was the biggest at the time and is still quite ridiculously large, which happened. And it all kind of based themselves around, was it Doom?
So
I can't remember if it was Doom.
I heard Manson got the blame for that one.
They tried to pin it on a couple of different things, but one of the main things was the way they were dressed. And so they were in these overcoat things so that they could hide all of the objects they had. They had a lot more going on than the shooting. They had a lot of bombs that didn't even go off. So, but trying to avoid all of that a little bit, like the actual happenings of it. They were dressed in a way that looked like the video game characters of, I can't remember what game. They also said that they'd been playing it a lot. The parents also said they'd been playing it a lot. And the kids tried to sort of be like, well, this happened, so we can do that too. But
yeah, so they were avid fans of Doom, especially.
yeah.
Yes, so I do remember part of this because I remember they had a whole discussion with like John Romero from IdTech, the guy who helped found the company that made Doom. But yeah, anyway, go on.
Yeah, so that was basically they were equipped. They were armed for war basically when they went in. So they had bombs that didn't go off around the place. They had a lot more weapons on them and things before it all happened. They were armed to the teeth basically, as if they were a character from Doom. So it's a little bit hard in retrospect when you look back at that time frame and all of the rest of it to say that they're not influenced by video games to do the things that they're doing. I don't think you can literally sit down, play Manhunt and go, I'm perfectly sane, and then I've played Manhunt and now I'm going to go and murder people with a shard of glass. There's no like, it's all gray. And it's always going to be gray. They can say that it's going to influence us to murder and all the rest of it, but I played Manhunt in 2003 when it came out and still haven't killed anybody.
Still haven't been caught.
Exactly. Which means I'm really good at it. But like,
thanks, Manhunt.
So thanks, Manhunt, for teaching me all I know. But like, it doesn't mean that, I don't know, if I was a little bit more damaged, maybe I would have taken a bit of influence from that game. So I don't know. It's a bit hard to argue either way.
I think it's one of those like correlation type incidents. So like, you can't say that just because you liked something that also happens to be violent, that's what made you do that. Like, think of stuff like the whole Port Arthur thing. I doubt that guy was playing Doom. Like, actually, it was 1990. It was 96 or something.
Probably playing fucking Pac-Man.
Well, 96 Doom was out then.
Yeah,
so
right.
Theoretically,
he could have been playing Doom. Oh man,
there was nothing
solves the world problems.
Right? We work it out on this show. We work it out, and then we're the reason games are now banned.
Before you're allowed to play Doom.
Yeah,
only Doom.
To be honest, after my recent recount of playing Doom 3, I considered it.
Yeah, it's because it's very terrifyingly shit.
But in all honesty, like, I don't think that video games are necessarily the cause, but I can't be the person to say this because A, I'm not a scientist studying this shit, and B, I'm just one of those people, like, everyone's seen a post on Facebook where people are like, yeah, but video games aren't violent because, like, I play violent video games and I've never killed no one. Yes, that's the point that everyone's raised.
That's exactly the point everyone tries to raise, but is it, a factor? Is it, helping you along the path to killing someone?
I think the bigger thing is that, obviously better mental health facilities need to be in play, and better control over potentially damaging media. And I don't mean that in a sense of like, we need more MA15 ratings, because that shit doesn't do shit, because all that does is stop parents. Now, just give me one moment, because the fellows from Columbine, right? They're probably a good example. It was a high school shooting.
Yeah, it was, from memory, I think it was about 17 killed and another 14 potentially injured, somewhere around that.
I don't think we're after stats.
Yeah. So they were aged 18 and 17. So like MA rating or an R rating isn't going to stop them from getting access to this media.
Yeah.
And so I don't think a rating system is the answer. But more my problem is that people thinking the depth of violence is the issue, or more so that like some games seem to cop a lot more flack than others. So did you guys ever play a game called Soldier of Fortune?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
So I can't remember when that came out, but I think it was made by Ravensoft, and so it was quite old.
Yeah, it would have been what late 90s or early 2000s.
Yeah, I think it might have been maybe 2000. Soldier of, yeah, it'd help if I could spell fortune right. But yeah, it was early 2000s, I think. Oh, 2000 by Activision and Ravensoft. And that game, if you ever play it, is fucking insanely brutal. Like when you shoot someone in the head with a pistol early in the game, you see like the meat at the back of their head open up as they fall to the ground.
Wow.
If you hit them with a shotgun, you can hear them scream while just like flaps of their neck are left and stuff like that.
Oh.
And it got worse with the sequels.
Jeez.
I remember seeing like video clips of the third one, and like if you unload an MR, like a machine gun or something into someone's abdomen, you see like organs fall out.
That's full on.
I
feel like there is a too far. Like, you know, with the Mortal Kombats of the world and, you know, that and, you know, Postal even, you know, which was just a goof, but, you know, whatever.
I really think context is important.
Yeah.
And with a game like Soldier of Fortune, I don't think it's contextually necessary.
No.
Because they're supposed to be sort of a Call of Duty-esque type thing. You're a super cool, like, military gun guy, and you're trying to stop the bad guys with a bomb or whatever it happens.
I feel like unnecessary gore was just their way of trying to stay in the market. You know, just be like, whoa, look at that shit. I've never seen that before in a game.
Exactly. You know? And I think that's unnecessary. Like, things like Postal, it's supposed to be over the top.
It was over the top. Yeah. Just a little bit too far with everything, but you know, it was a goof. But like the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, no Russian scene.
Yeah,
you know, that was the next thing. I think that was like
So
what was that 04 or 06 or something like that? That was the next one to come into some scrutiny because that was a hard hitting scene. Like I don't know if Brady, did you ever play that scene?
Which one?
Brady's just fucking turned off as we get like the most serious we've ever been on this fucking show ever.
you reminded me of something that's kind of interesting in the reverse.
Is it behind the news on fucking BBC? Because that's what I feel like we're way too serious right now.
From time to time, we have to actually talk about the topics within stuff.
Well, that's it. And this one we're pretty passionate about.
Different perspectives on it, so I think it's good. It just reminded me of something. No, I didn't play that game though.
So neither did I, but I
played
the game. So I played Modern Warfare. Never played Modern Warfare 2 because I was broke as hell at the time. And I could barely afford Modern Warfare. But I have seen the scene.
Yeah.
Like I'm very aware of it.
It was pretty hard hitting. So quick rundown of the scene. I'm just trying to quite remember it exactly, but you are playing as the terrorists, right? As you go into an airport.
Sort of. You're like
you're the antagonists, right?
No, so you're a like counterterrorism operative that has like infiltrated the terrorist cell.
That's right. Yeah.
And you're trying to prove, or you're not trying to prove, but you're trying to get in with them to figure out what their big plan is.
Yeah. So this is like the small flies scenario, like, you know, break a few eggs to make an omelet sort of a scene where you get out of an elevator, walk into an airport full of civilians and just unload with a full, like, what is it? Like a 200 round weapon on civilians, and you just murder literally 100 people.
Not one of them has a gun, and but there is a really interesting play in it that I really appreciate Activision putting in. You don't have to fire a single bullet.
No, you don't. I did do that. I did personally do that. I was like, because I mean, the first thing I did was like, okay, I guess I'm shooting. Fucking shoot everyone. This is great. And I'm like, man, that was really intense and wow. And then I did exactly that. I replayed it and I walked around as if like, oh, I'm shooting people and shot near them, like to play out the scene as if I was playing in a movie. But yeah, you don't have to kill anyone, I suppose, which is a good part of it. I guess they're not forcing you to murder.
Yeah.
Whereas
So-
Manhunt was.
Yeah, like you literally have no choice.
You have to kill to get through the door. So
Yeah.
yeah. So I guess that was a little bit of a smart move on their behalf, but it was a pretty hard hitting scene, but it was for a reason.
Yes.
So like I'll never forget it. And I don't know.
I think that's
if they'd ever be able to do it again.
With the context.
But exactly. This context was intense. It was hard hitting. It showed that these guys are bad motherfuckers. They will unleash on these people, you know.
How does that feel when it gets like compared to someone mentioned Mortal Kombat before?
Yeah.
But see, Mortal Kombat's been brutal since the days when there was so many fucking... It was so pixelated you could barely tell what happened anyway. And then it maintained... I don't think it got worse. I think it just maintained its level of brutality.
Yeah,
as
absolutely.
It just became more visible.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So how do you
thing.
think that sort of plays into there, though? Because, like... like you guys were saying, you talk about games where I'm like, I probably wouldn't want to play that, but I quite enjoy Mortal Kombat. But at the same time, I also sometimes find the scenes like, with the extra X-ray stuff, it's cool the first time, it's cool about 10 times after that. And then I'm like, oh, hurry up.
It's too much. For me, like this is just me personally. Mortal Kombat's always been too much with that shit. Like it's just too far.
Fine.
But, you know, it is what it is. They're known for it. That's their badge of honor.
Yeah, that's you know what you're in for, and I guess that's the thing when you talk about games like GTA and stuff like that. But like, I guess it would be really odd if like you got into like a Call of Duty and all of a sudden you shoot someone and their fucking organs start falling out.
Yeah, pretty.
That would be a bit out of place.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think going back to the context sense of it, so Mortal Kombat is a very unrealistic game. At no point does it ever try to be realistic. It is very much, you're fighting creatures from another realm with like 6 arms and shit like that. Like
I've wondered if that's got something to do with it, because like the more unrealistic something gets, like the more we seem to accept. No, the more we just accept its level of violence. So like, even to the point of something really silly, like I don't know if you've ever had those fucking phone game ads come up where it's just like, build your army, fight this army, and then they fight and like 200 people get killed, but because it's cute little puffs of smoke. Like I know this is the opposite end, but like they all died. You made things die. But because it's super unrealistic, and that's the most extreme degree. Like obviously Mortal Kombat's a different degree because it's similar graphics and stuff to what could potentially happen, although not even really, but could
sort of,
yeah. I wonder if another thing that does affect like our level of acceptance, at least the general public's level, didn't seem to matter that it was hundreds of people who died or thousands, but it mattered how realistic it was when it occurred.
Yeah. So I think that does come into play. But then in saying that, like there are a few things here that I want to cover. And like one would be like there are like games like Hotline Miami that have come under a lot of flack for the violence that it had. And it is a top-down pixelated game.
Yeah.
It is ultra violent for what you get, but it is also still very unrealistic. But in talking about unrealistic, Germany is notorious for censoring the living shit out of their video games. How they've gotten past a lot of censorship, turn them into zombies. Carmageddon, which have you guys ever played Carmageddon?
Oh, that was intense. I remember playing that in like year 5, maybe.
Yeah, so Carmageddon is basically Mortal Kombat racing game. It's just ultra violence. You drive.
I do
over
remember
desert.
that. Yeah.
And the reward for running over people and murdering lots of things.
Yeah.
It's mushing it all up.
Fantastic game. I've got the latest one. It's brilliant. But in Germany, how they got past it, turn the blood green, make them zombies. That's all they did. Turned the skin like a greenish, bluish hue, and the blood was green. Problem solved. Germany.
You know what though? Like when I picture that in my head, I immediately think that it's less violent. Like I think that works. So it's like, so what you're saying is like realism equals, violence is too intense versus like
the more you relate it to real life, the more
you question
potentially like traumatic, triggering, or affected you could be from it.
I think
it's interesting though, because like it depends on what it is, right? So like with a video game, the same as like a book, an anime, a movie, or anything with novel, sometimes the level of brutality the realism, as you said, will bring you into it a bit more and make you feel like the situation is more or less acceptable. So like if something horrible is happening to a main character of a show, you'll be drawn into it and you'll be like, this is not okay. But as you're watching it and then it passes, it sort of gives validation to what happened. But when you're not doing something that's sort of story driven, in the case of like a lot of these games where it's like just fucking brutally kill a bunch of people as best you can, it becomes less acceptable, I feel.
Yeah.
Unless they turn them into zombies and make it all fun.
But I guess.
Well, that's what I mean, though. Like,
that's where we come back to context, right?
So it's a combination of the lot.
Yeah.
Really.
Context versus realism.
Yeah.
The other
Basement Discourse, answering the real questions. How fucked up can the stuff be that you do with a video game?
But one of the most interesting ones of recent memory that I can think of is Left 4 Dead 2. Do you guys remember that at all?
Yeah, I remember that.
Australia got a super, super censored version of it.
Really?
Basically,
rude.
If you killed a zombie, they just fell over and disappeared. In the original European release, which I managed to buy in my travels to Europe.
Thanks to all of our sponsors.
Schneider owes you.
AFPS, bro.
Yeah, it's all about the AFPS.
I really hope these ads have actually been included by this time.
Because otherwise, Schneider was on Ep 13, don't worry.
Yes, I fucking love Schneider.
Well, now the ad for AFPS has to be on this.
Yes, I realized that.
Before this part happens, just cut right now.
Hard cut.
But yeah, that game, it's zombies, right? You're killing zombies. But it was fucking violent. Like, I do remember.
Was this the one like bodies on the ground? You can actually hack it up, like when they're dead.
But you don't really have a chance to because they have waves of zombies.
Right.
But if you had the opportunity, yes, you can. But it also like you can have a weapon like an axe, and as they come at you, if you swing and hit them in the torso, you do see guts fall out. And if I remember correctly, there was even like a steam effect that came off them.
Wow. That's intense.
But zombies,
that's kind of
right?
They're zombies, right? So I don't really see a problem with that. Yeah.
But because they were so humanoid, Australia was like, nah, that's got to be R18. And at the time, we didn't have an R18 rating, so banned until they did the re-release with no violence. But yeah, so that's where it sort of gets hazy from a like legal, is it really legal, or like ratings perspective? So I guess they don't really care about context.
Yeah,
but here context matters. But yeah, so it's all about realism versus context, and where you stand with it.
That's exactly it. And I think that's going to be different from person to person as well. And it's going to be different from every person who's rating the game as well. So the ratings, as they figured out with Manhunt, they got it wrong to start with. And then they got it right, or at least the next crew, they thought it was right. Like, I think it just comes down to the individual and how it might affect that individual. And that's impossible. That's like, how are you going to know?
Not without like light years better mental health facilities. Like,
yeah, exactly.
you'd need something where everyone has readily accessed it and shit like that. Brady's prepping. He's fucking prepping. We're about to go to a break.
Have you guys? No. Have you guys heard of an anime called Psycho Pass?
No.
If you had, this would be an epic segue. Psycho Pass is an anime, just real quick before we do the break thing, where everyone in the world has an evaluated like Psycho Pass. Like it's a rating of how like non-crazy you are, like how unlikely you are to cause criminal actions like murder and stuff like that. But like these drones just like wander the streets and they can like automatically detect your Psycho Pass and then just call people to arrest you.
Isn't there I swear there's a movie about that. Like
I think there is.
100%. There was an AA title movie. Minority Report?
I didn't watch that one.
Yeah, come on, y'all. Tom Cruise, Minority Report?
Yeah, no, if it has Tom Cruise and his weird
Tom Cruise, I'm probably out.
I'm out.
Come on, Days of Thunder?
I have no idea.
I'm pretty much out on most Tom Cruise things, man.
No danger zone for you boys then? Damn, son.
Okay, that's an exception. Everyone needs to watch Top Gun.
But
it's a must.
Yeah, so that just it just reminded me of that because it's a pretty good one. They end up getting some people who had like bad psycho passes to help the cops arresting people who have good. Because problematically, if no one's willing, if their psycho passes are good, they're probably not going to be willing to cause any violence, which makes them not necessarily a good cop because they're not willing to be violent to arrest somebody. So they get people who have like slightly bad psycho passes.
Fucking Suicide Squad, basically.
The Suicide Squad of anime without the weird fucking.
So that breaks into like the whole MK Ultra thing a little bit, where they like tried to brainwash everyone way back in the day when they first invented. Yeah. Anyway, let's go on a break.
AFPS, the Australian Food Postal Service. Ever wanted your food delivered, but you don't want to get it from some pimple-faced pizza boy? Try getting your food delivered by Australia's fantastic postage service. There are no guarantees on expected delivery times. No delay is too long and no customer complaint will be taken seriously. But at the end of the day, /week, or month, oh boy, you're going to be eating that meal you ordered.
My pizza is covered in black mold and squashed to the side of the box.
Shut up, bitch. Australia Food Postal Service. Brought to you by the people that don't give a shit about your delivery. Go fuck yourself and have a fuck day.
Welcome back from our amazing ads. Justin fucking interrupted me again. God damn it.
You could just do it again.
Yeah.
Welcome back from the ad break. Consistency.
Oh, wow.
His actual voice like fucking cracked as Justin was laughing. I was like, God damn it.
So on the topic of Manhunt, because I'm going for the world's worst segue here.
Segue after a break is not a segue.
That's just bringing it back to topic, right?
No. Yeah, it's totally a segue. Justin wanted to talk about something to do with Brian Cox and the title Manhunt.
Yes. So we were like, me and Jace are playing it at the same time roughly, and I'm like, dude, the guy like voicing over this, like the main antagonist, is he?
He's just like the random NPC dude.
Yeah, the guy who's kind of in control and forcing you to kill everyone in Manhunt the game. I'm just like, man, this voice, what the hell? And then we did some Googles, of course. Thank you, Google. Be our sponsor one day.
Thank you for the sponsorship.
Yeah.
I already use that platform for free.
Brian Cox. So
yeah, that's censored now.
yep.
That was sponsored by Google. Cox,
Yep.
can't say
Cox.
that.
Can't say that
can't
shit.
say that.
Fuck you, Google. We don't want your sponsorship.
YouTube is Google's platform. That's where this goes. You can't say that.
Oh, well, maybe we just cut that part.
Just censor.
I'm gonna have to beep you.
Yeah, beep him.
The Google or the fuck. Yeah, so Brian Cox. So then I was like, oh yeah, cool. Who is this? Who is this Brian Cox guy anyway? I was like, I remember him. I don't know what he's from. Looked up some of his stuff. So Super Troopers, of course. So then I watched Super Troopers. But then after that, I mean, you got to watch the Super Troopers. It's great.
That's fair.
Second one was not that great, gotta say, even after their sponsorship.
Why would you
and all the
do
rest
that
of it.
to yourself? Yeah.
Oh, it was so late in the game too, and they got a lot of money to do it too from the people, and it wasn't that great. But segue to the segue. So he has a movie in 1986 called Manhunter. So I don't know whether that was a coincidence that he was then in a game called Manhunt 20 years later or whatever it was.
Yeah, he's just looking for IPs with Manhunt in it.
Yeah.
So, I'll do it. I don't care if I've got to do it for free.
Yeah. So Manhunter, it is exactly Red Dragon, the movie, but it came out in 86, whereas the newer one came out in 2002-ish. So like totally exactly the same movie, but just 20 years prior or whatever it is. It was pretty weird. And I ended up watching it just out of interest, and it was pretty bad too. So check it out. Manhunter 1986. You'll love it.
Thanks for
And
the
that was my
sponsorship,
weird
Manhunter.
little... I know, right? Thank you, Manhunt. Manhunt and Manhunter and Rockstar Games.
Rockstar North. Thank you.
Well, since we've gone for a dark as fuck episode with violence and everything like that,
We've only talked about Port Arthur, Columbine. Like it's really not that dark.
We haven't gone down the rabbit hole too far.
It's there's not further to go. But I guess like of anime that's been dark that I've sent you guys after. I didn't need to with you, Jace, because you already watched it.
I was about to say.
I could see you G'ing up for it. But Justin, we sent you towards Tokyo Ghoul, which I wouldn't do to everybody, but you've just had a bit of a mixed response. Oh, look, I liked it, don't get me wrong, but he's had such a mixed response to anime that it is getting a little difficult to tell what he actually likes. So, because it's like the chef ones, nah, get it out of my face. Death Note, yeah, it's good. Did you even finish it?
Nah, man.
Like you loved it, but you didn't finish it.
I got sidetracked so hard. I am occasionally just
love
getting
the shit out of that.
Yeah.
So like you're getting a little hard to read in some ways. So yeah, we sent him a Tokyo Ghoul. Just thought, yeah, fuck, let's just throw some shit at him and see how he goes. How are you feeling about it? Because Tokyo Ghoul, for those who don't know, I guess quick synopsis. We'll let Justin.
Vampires.
No, we'll let Justin do it. Because
so they are human-looking-ish creatures that have to eat people to survive, and some of them eat more than one person.
You're never allowed to write a synopsis. No, I don't know. I threw it to you and I got to kill it for you.
I'm really
modern day Tokyo. Imagine if True Blood was an anime, but instead of vampires coming out of the coffin and revealing themselves to everybody, ghouls are out there. Ghouls are essentially zombies, but yeah, they're sentient and completely normal people. So they need to eat flesh to continue on in life.
And you can't really pick them apart until they come out of their skin, per se.
Yeah, like they're totally fine in the daylight, all of that. The
shit.
only, I guess, negative point they have is that they will die if they don't eat human. And if they eat real food, they just vomit.
They hate it. It's horrible.
Except for coffee.
Yeah, which is
because everybody likes coffee.
Yeah.
So, like, I could totally get behind this. You know, eating the rich and drinking coffee. That's just.
It's a good lifestyle, right?
That'd be awesome.
I'd be fine with it. But the show is filled with just extremely like crazy psychological trauma and people trying to overcome it as it occurs to them through tortures, through horrible events, through losing loved ones and all sorts of stuff. And it is a horror at its heart. So sometimes you think something's fine and then you get like a horrible betrayal in your face. That's like literally episode 1. How are you feeling about it, Justin?
Season 1 was pretty straightforward and pretty solid. I didn't mind that at all. It was quite good. So it was pretty full on, but it was great. And it built up on, some of the other characters' storylines as well as his own. And by the end of it, when he gets broken basically and just gets pulled apart, that's pretty cool. So that really helps build his character. But season 2, man, they lost me there. Like, it's very obviously for the fans of the manga. A lot of characters were introduced very quickly, some of them with no like actual introductions, just like this guy and this guy. And you're like, okay, cool. All right, fair enough, I suppose. Some of the other characters are introduced pretty well, like Ray is pretty well introduced and stuff like that, but some of them are just like thrown in there and they're probably going to die, and some of them do, and you're like, cool, I don't give a fuck. I don't care that you're dead because I have no connection to you, because who the hell are you anyway? Like, I've known you for 5 minutes. I don't even remember their names. I still don't remember their names. And I've watched it again to try and work out how they were introduced. And I'm like, okay, so they just popped up.
A bit of context for basically everybody. First of all, I just want to like have a giggle because when you sent me, I didn't realize Ray was a boy. I lost my shit laughing because it took me a while to work out who the hell you were talking about because you wrote it R-A-Y.
All right.
And I was like,
if you Google,
I don't remember a character
spelled R-A-Y, Tokyo Ghoul, it comes up with the correct.
Does
character.
it really?
Yeah.
Oh wow! I had no idea. I was like, I don't remember a character called. What the fuck is? Because I just instantly think, I don't know. It didn't really work for me, but
I just went with sounds like because I'd never seen it written down anywhere.
Sounds like that's exactly how it sounds like. Like you're not wrong at all. It just made me laugh.
R-E-I. Yeah, I knew it was going to be a weird spelling, but I knew if I'd spelt it wrong in a weird way, then it probably wouldn't even be pronounced properly at all. So it's like, well, R-A-Y, you're going to say Ray. So
it was fine. It just made me laugh at myself more than anything because I was like, what the fuck is this?
Because that's Juzo, isn't it?
Juzo? Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Tiny Tina of Tokyo Ghoul. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, 100%. So season 2, for more context for everyone, you mentioned it slightly, but you got it in the wrong order, which it's not your fault for. Season 2 was not made for the manga fans. Season 2 is a deviation from the manga. So season 1 was exactly it, though slightly more censored. Season 2 is completely original, like to the point of the way the main character goes about things is like completely different.
Right.
So his character development changes a lot. Where I didn't mind it too much is like it was pretty in terms of the animation quality was fine. It was all good. The action scenes look good.
The action scenes were great. Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah,
they
kept a lot of the like traumatic psychological stuff was still there. It was interesting to watch.
Yeah.
But where they came undone was they decided to not have some characters in and put in a whole bunch of others from the manga, but they didn't introduce them the same way the manga did, which is what you're experiencing.
Right. Yeah. So it's just bad story writing.
Yeah. The anime, I'm not sure what happened. I'm not sure if my best bet, because I wasn't around at the beginning of Tokyo Ghoul, I watched RE as it aired because I'd read it by then, but I was a few years late to Tokyo Ghoul. So my best guess is that Tokyo Ghoul came out season 1 and was sort of like not the success that they wanted it to be, and then was slowly discovered by people. So then the ratings for the episodes would have looked better as it went, and they went, right, okay. And then everybody likes this shit towards the end. So then they made an anime-only situation out of it, and got really bad reception. bad reviews by everyone because, as you're experiencing, there's some confusing shit going on.
You just
What
don't
got
create
worse?
a like relationship with these guys. You
Yeah,
just don't
what
know
got
them.
worse, and Jace has this experience and you don't. Season 3 is where they decided to rapidly, with no indication of what they were doing, return it to the manga storyline.
Yeah.
But not fix all the characters that they had introduced and gotten rid of, or all the inconsistencies they created by deviating from the story. Just pretend like season 2 never happened, but continue on with it as if it did.
That's jacked.
Yeah, so
It was. I literally had a friend watching it every week with me, and I'd already read it all by this stage. It was one of the first manga I ever read, which was really cool. And she literally called me at the end of every episode and was like, what just happened? I don't know who that person is. Why is that going on? What is that? And to get real, RE does that to you even as a manga for like 2 or 3 chapters, but it's supposed to build intrigue. It's not supposed to do it to you every episode. Like,
Yeah.
it's not until about episode 6 or 7 that it even starts to come together.
Yeah.
At all.
yeah.
100%. There were
like-
like characters getting killed in like episode 3 or 4, I think, from memory, with a big battle of like the
In
owl and
season
stuff.
2, yeah.
Yeah.
So I will give you a little bit of, like, this is a bit spoilerish, but I don't care. Kaneki
That's your warning.
goes from you know, the end of season 2, which is one of my favorite scenes in anime ever, like the very end, just because it makes me feel all the feelings. But then after that scene, it's just like nothing. And then the next time you see him, he's with the doves. And
That is how the manga went, though.
yeah, but like there's no context to it. They don't explain any of it until nearly the end of the anime. He doesn't know his name. Obviously, like, all of that might be from
An amnesia
manga, but-
situation, Justin.
Right.
I can see your confusion.
Yep.
Yeah. And so
It's very
just-
cool,
It's
but
really confusing in the anime, and it seems like they just tried to rewrite his character but did it badly. But it's just because they
so
didn't
that was the
flesh
thing.
out
It
very
was
well.
funny to read because so I got into it. I finished the anime as probably you did, Jace, and was like, I need more. What the fuck? So then I looked it up and found out that the sequel series was starting, and I was like, okay, cool. So it was one of the first ones I read literally week by week, and the first manga I like picked up and got invested in as it came out every time. And I was the same, except it takes 3 to 4 chapters of manga to make an episode, so I had a much longer wait because they only came out once a month. So it was pretty rough. So for what you were finding out in episode 6, I was finding out in like a year. But I already could guess. It was a little bit more obvious as you read it that Heise Sasaki was Ken Kaneki, but something had happened to him, especially because he had the black growing back in.
Yeah.
Which was the big noticeable thing, and I really loved that they did that. But there was other elements to him that were just really Kaneki if you had read it previously. He was just like really soft character in the way he did things. But the way they did it in the show, so we didn't get this over here, and here's a really important thing, and I still don't think this is okay. The studio that did it announced in their trailer and the poster that this season 3 of Tokyo Ghoul is for the people who've read the manga, and if you haven't, read it before you watch it.
Like the shittest ad for anything.
It is, but at least it gave context to why it was so fast, so rushed, and sometimes so confusing. So they were essentially, as far as I can tell, they were just animating it as fan service.
Truly,
And
I
they
don't
rushed
understand why anyone would fucking bother doing that. Like, that's such
I don't
a
disagree.
dick move.
I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying that it makes it a little nicer for those of us who knew that in advance, and for those of us who didn't.
It
Like
sounds
Jace.
like such a lazy cop out though, like, Could you imagine
It does.
picking up
I'm
a
not
copy of The
disagreeing with you,
Witcher
but
and them being like, well, you've got to have read The Blood of Elves
Yeah.
and all of Andrzej
Look, my best guess-
And you've got to have at least played the first game and completed it
Yeah.
100% to understand what we're talking about here in episode 1. and 2.
Again, it is no excuse. But my best speculative guess, because that's all I can do, is that they wanted to complete it for the fans, but they didn't have the budget to do it. Because RE was about the size of the first 2 seasons combined. So I don't think they had the budget to do it properly, especially because there are some pretty big scenes in that.
Like, if you don't have the money to do things right, then just don't fucking do it.
Have you seen our Christmas special?
I was about to say,
Everyone has.
Justin, this is recorded over Zoom.
Yeah, but I'm using like a $1,000 camera right here.
You
Thanks to
are.
our sponsors.
He's in his shed.
Does it look like a shed? No. You son of a bitch.
I was gonna rip on me next, but you got in there.
But I just think, why bother? And I think it's like, it also comes down to like, okay, they only had a certain amount of episodes they could release and a certain amount of things they could do and animate and whatever. Then fucking focus on story writing, because that shit doesn't cost you anything. You read the fucking manga and you pull out the good stuff, and then you turn it into an anime. Honest,
that's what they did. But it was just
too
much. It was too much. They didn't pull out like each.
They didn't put out like anything with context. They just pulled out all the cool scenes. Like, it's just like watching a movie and just going, "Oh, you know what? Here's the trailer."
No, you're not wrong. And if you do actually summon the courage to watch RE after all this, like season 3, there was some very powerful scenes in that story that just got upsettingly brushed to the side.
Yeah, Tokyo Ghoul's done for me. Like, I'm 1 episode away from finishing season 2, and I'm almost. The only reason I'm going to watch it is because Jace just sold it to me, saying it was one of the best scenes he's ever seen.
So it's not like an amazing action scene or anything.
It's just a powerful
moment.
Yeah, cool. I mean, I'll still watch it for that because I've watched all the rest of them, but I'm so disappointed with where it's going now, and I'm already knowing that season 3 is going to be a bust for me.
It might be what gets you into manga, though. That's what did it for me. I needed to see what happens.
It's a shit sell. It's a shit sell.
Is out here, like, constantly being like, "You guys should read manga."
Yeah.
Hey! It worked for anime. He's in it. He's this deep. He now is able to form opinions on it.
This is true.
Yeah, but
I can actually
this isn't a
speak
good
up in this
opinion.
topic. No, this is me tearing Tokyo Ghoul apart. But it's because
it's an
outside of view.
It deserves it.
Yeah, it's an outside of view, though. Like, you know, I haven't read the manga, and for you're fanboying out, I'm sure, when you watch the episode and you're like, this moment in Tokyo Ghoul when I read this in the manga, this is great.
Yeah, he's hugging real tight on his
I mostly watched a lot of it being mostly just disappointed. But
yeah, right.
And like I said, I had that friend calling me at the end of every episode, and I wanted to argue for it and to say, you know what, look, I literally wanted to play devil's advocate to everything you said, where you were like, if you don't have the money, don't bother, blah, blah, blah. And I wanted to be like, oh, but it's nice they had a crack with what they could. But then I remember that I had to do that. And how like challenging that could be, and
it's hard for you because you're on the fence where you've got the context,
and I was just grateful for anything. But then I remember how difficult that was for someone. Like, they had me to do that with, but for anyone else who had just watched season 1 and 2, exactly, being
I was
like
the only weeb I knew.
Jace, exactly, for someone like Jace who's like watched the end of season 2 and gone, that's the most feelsy thing, and I love that. And then opens up 3 and he's like, this is confusing, but I'm sure they'll bring it around. And then they do in like the last 3 seconds, and it's still confusing as fuck. You're like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. So I sit somewhere in between the pair of you on that one, but like I'm glad they did 3, but I would like to see it done better in a few years. And it's not the only anime that's done that, and it's not the only horror anime that's done that. So I have another recommendation moving forward. Jace, you might have seen this. Before we round out the show, have you seen A Promised Neverland?
No.
It's a question.
No.
So homework. Jump on the trailer or something like that. It's not what it looks like at all.
It's Michael Jackson.
Maybe crack into yeah. God damn it. What's worse is it's monsters that eat kids.
Oh no! Oh, that's us gone.
That's the episode that got us thrown off YouTube.
Cancelled.
Yeah, not Flicks. But if you can find your way to it, watch a few episodes of season 1 and see how you go. You'll like it or hate it pretty quickly. Let me know. But it's a horror, and it's one that could have been done a little bit more justice in season 2, but did really amazing work in season 1.
That this seems like a running theme with anime, especially with my recent bouts with Bleach. Now, we've roughly covered over this in previous episodes with the whole filler arc thing.
Yeah.
But only recently has it been super apparent how bad the filler arcs are. Like, they're unenjoyable when you watch them. But, like, I'm currently on season 6, which is just after a filler arc. And the more I watch of season 6, the more I'm like, oh yeah, they forgot to cover all this shit in the previous 2 seasons. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that I won't bother because you're still fresh on it, Justin.
Yeah.
But it's like all emotional stuff within Ichigo. They just completely forget it. It's gone for 2 whole fucking seasons.
Wow.
And then it's all of a sudden back in 6. And you're like, we're back at home.
I'm not gonna do the Tokyo Ghoul thing. I'm not gonna make that mistake. So I'm gonna get the list of things I should watch, and I'm not gonna watch the rest because I just don't have fucking time for it.
Jace can back me up on this because usually, if somebody says something's filler and doesn't need to be watched, you'll watch it anyway. And that was Jace's argument before because he was like, no, it's cool. I'm ready for all the content of this. And I was like, no, seriously. When it comes to Bleach, there are a few arcs that aren't even fun at all. They're not entertaining, they're not emotional, they're not good, they're badly written. And then it's usually the case of either everyone gets amnesia or they're just not mentioned again. And
I've
as he's saying...
one scene with Karia since.
That's fucking terrible. It's like a dream sequence.
So what happened with Bleach is the popularity of it was just so hype and so big that when the anime caught up to the manga, because as we've discussed and even touched on in this episode, it takes so many chapters to make an episode. So they quickly catch up to one another if they start around the same point, or even if the anime starts after, it still catches up quick.
Yeah.
The anime has a choice at that point. It can go on hiatus, or it can create a filler arc.
Should have gone on hiatus.
Or they can talk to the creator and get him involved to continue along.
They should have at least done that. Holy fuck.
What Bleach did was create filler arcs, and everyone is disappointed by it. So when as you're watching it, we'll tell you what episode to start at and what episode to finish at because they are
you
not
right?
worth
You're going to die?
Man's just got gas.
Look. Filler arcs upset me deeply. Internally,
they come back.
They give me what they are, and that's just the shits.
Nailed it.
Well, and on that note, see you later.
Peace.
We should also say where we have things as well. Hey, like there's a Twitter and a Facebook and some other shit. Probably a Discord. Might even be a YouTube, Spotify, Apple. We'll be coming to Nokia 3310s soon.
In digitized version.
We'll be on hats.
And our
Camera
first piece of
somewhere.
merch, whenever we get around to design it, is probably going to say something like the Christmas episode you've definitely already seen.
Fuck yeah. And then
Yeah.
the back will say Gnome Squad. Because everyone will know
Gnome
that
Squad!
inside joke. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone will know that inside joke because they've already seen it.
Yeah, well,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Definitely already seen it. And if you haven't, you definitely should check out our previous episodes and then go watch that.
And then also go watch Dungeons
And Discourse.
which will totally be out by the time this is out. I
Yeah.
think.
So you're already enjoying
my
it.
math
Will. There's a date. No, it definitely will, because this is 3 weeks from now. Dungeons and
Yep.
Discourse is 2 weeks from now.
And so you've obviously already seen the episodes. So congratulations.
Congratulations for enjoying our great shit. It's been fun so far.
Yeah, it's been fucking
Leave
awesome.
lots of comments and ratings. We appreciate you all.
And it's
All the
only going to get
comments,
better from
"This
there, we
is
promise.
Dog shit.
This is marginally better than Tokyo Ghoul Season 2, and that's it.
They say that.
That means it's heaps better than 3 though. So
Damn,
a win.
that's
that's heaps
actually
good.
we're going places with that.
To the moon.